On today's Minute of the Apes, it only took till Friday to get all into Star Wars.
Divine bomb. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a gentleman. There is fire, there is smoke. Now fight the Apes! A minute of the Apes. 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 Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I am Todd, and bringing the gospel truth of what happens amongst the three of us is Sean.
Hey.
And it took only till Friday till we looked to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and said, kind of, what are you battling against right now? You know, I would say the battle within trying to level up things in that game is a more compelling battle than the one we're seeing on the screen.
It makes more sense.
I think
So
we
it's
could have a
confusing.
podcast where people would go, oh, I get what you're talking about more than I get in this. It is Friday. I say that let's not go on any longer because I'm kind of ready to get to an in-between where we can clear our minds up this week.
Clear
I'm ready to
our
get past a little bit.
Sean,
of this
tell us
stuff
what's
here.
happening with minute 95.
All right, we're going to start minute 95 with more battles and ends with Attar about to smack someone.
All right, here it comes. Minute 95, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
No, wait!
As in minute 95, we have an overarm's worth of apes and humans, 2 displaced pods worth of humans and apes. So many wild humans and apes eating minus 2 gorillas. Humans on the loose and the final assault has begun.
We begin the minute with Kroll marching in, ready to attack something before it jumps to the kid, once again being so nimble that he evades everything, and then weirdly comes to face with Limbo that looks more like it should be in a musical version of Planet of the Apes, where they kind of dance and look at each other, running away.
It's the Thor, Captain America. No, you get the little one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ari comes around and looks. The absolute worst moment of what you give to do for an actor exists at 7 seconds when her bald companion is simply just kind of, what? Look at this. He is just looking about.
He has so little to do, they make sure he has nothing to do.
So then
afterwards.
we cut over to Estella, who is suddenly very nimble and skilled with the blade. We've never seen this before. She gets thrown down. Ari is suddenly concerned. The bald guy follows after. Ari scampers in, and I guess they couldn't get Helena to commit to the running on all fours thing because she kind of runs and throws her hands at the ground. The bald house servant gets there first, and he runs into Attar, and we get the famous Wilhelm
scream at 18 seconds.
in which, if you don't know what the Wilhelm scream is, I'm going to cue it. Here we go. Right? There it is. He gets thrown to the ground. We then see Ari use her super monkey powers to fling over everybody. She falls on top of a gorilla, comes up, helps Estella hold that monkey down while Estella stabs them, helps Estella run away. That's I want to make sure that's in the mind here. Before we cut back to Kroll, who is fighting, we look into a melee of just confusion. And then suddenly Ari's on the ground. I'm not really sure I understand. We'll get to it. She's on the ground. I don't know what's going on. Then we do kind of get what you guys are talking about, the weird moment of talking during a battle when Estella sees...
Nobody's attacking them, yeah.
Right. They're suddenly safe. She sees the brand on her hand, which is now completely, looks like basically scabbed and scarred over. Estella suddenly understands. She looks... We get a push in of Kroll, and when I see this shot, do you know who I expect to be the return shot?
Attar.
I'm sorry, it's Attar we pushed to. I expect Kroll to be.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Leo. We see Leo fighting, and that becomes who Kroll wants. He goes across and he's battling. Then we see Kroll reacting and coming, and they're together in a moment. So let's go back up to the top. This moment between Limbo and the kid.
Okay, the first thing,
him hopping over.
The kid has to like a Peter Pan over a sword,
Yeah.
which was really silly.
Which means that guy was swinging basically at his shins to try to take him out. I don't know.
Okay. Last of Us teaches us that one of the best ways to teach us what love is to take love away from you. Kill the kid. Fucking kill the kid. They killed the little girl at the first of Last of Us so that we can then set on a journey to understand what love is. Fucking kill the kid.
Speaking of the little girl, remember at the beginning, well, not the beginning, earlier, they had taken the little girl with him, but then they sent her back to the city. So is she still at the city with that other lady that the bald guy was with?
I guess so.
And they're having this whole revolution over here. Meanwhile, back at Ape City, there are people that don't even know what's going on.
I don't understand the need to make the kid superpowered. Just kill him.
Well, so he leaps over the sword. He then is about to stab Limbo or beat Limbo with a stick. They both look at each other and then both run off in opposite directions. Like, I don't even know what Limbo's doing. Limbo picked up a knife. Does Limbo brandish the knife against the kid and then stop?
I think
It makes no sense.
Limbo's out for Limbo.
So we get to the shot with Art.
Is Limbo fighting? Is the kid realizing he likes Limbo? Like, I don't know the relationship.
It makes zero. In fact, have they had moments together directly one-on-one?
No.
Remember whenever they first showed up and then Davidson got the gun and shot and the other apes went away and Limbo was like, oh, this kid is tough, and it was hitting him on the head.
True.
It's about the only time they had interactions.
But that doesn't work here.
Gunner saves Limbo. Gunner dies. Kid is fighting nearby, stumbles onto Limbo. They share a moment, and then they continue fighting back to back by fighting apes on either side of them. I don't know, something just to kind of put them back together as a cohesive group, as opposed to what scattering is happening now.
And then,
So we go to Ari, and like I said, the worst moment of acting in this film, and it's not the fault of the actor. He's given nothing to do. It's the shot where Ari looks past. She's safely tucked behind, I guess, is that part of the Oberon she's behind?
The wreckage, yeah.
And her bald friend is just looking about and looking like he's shocked that a battle's occurring. Whether it's on him or Burton, somebody should have talked about what it is he's doing in this moment, because he shouldn't be shocked. This battle's been going on now for at least a minute and a half.
And,
we've seen the Oberon explode. We've seen all these things.
Ari only cares that Estelle's getting hurt. If everybody else is getting killed, but that's the one that she's really concerned about.
So let's talk about what unfolds. She sees Estella.
Yes.
Right?
Estella, yeah.
Or Dana. She starts to run towards Dana, and Tybalt says, no, wait. But he starts to go to his right in that clip. Then we cut to him heading back towards where Ari was headed, and that's when he gets
that is a bad
taken.
jump.
He goes that way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's now running where Ari is, trying to stop her.
Yeah.
And that's when he gets harassed by the two gorillas. In the script, by the way, this is his death. I don't know if we see him later on in the movie.
I was assuming he died because
the Wilhelm.
Because of the Wilhelm, because we saw the black gentleman die, because we've seen Chris Christopherson die. Whenever you get hit really hard by gorillas, unless you're Davidson, you die.
Well, they picked him up and threw him to the ground.
Yeah.
I just needed to see the body at that particular point. When they beat him, it looks like the actor's reacting, so it didn't quite tell me if he was alive or not.
I can understand that, yeah.
So we get, and I want to be, I'm going to actually look something up real quick because I want to actually read.
While you're looking that up, again, we get another shot of an ape doing really high-flying acrobatics. We get Ari flying through the air. Why are we not seeing other chimps doing
this thing? Why did
We've seen Thay do it. We've seen her do it. We've seen both her and Thay do this jumping far distances.
She
scenes.
easily leaps 50 meters over a crowd of people to specifically get to
All
Dana.
these chimps should be leaping around.
Why
like
didn't she
this.
leap
Agreed.
twice? Once to halfway there, once the
Yeah.
other
Maybe
way
they call
there.
me jump one. So real quick, because I do realize there may be people listening who have heard that scream before, but if you don't know the history of the Wilhelm scream is a stock sound effect that's been used in a number of films and TV series beginning in 1951 with the film Distant Drums. The scream is usually used when someone is shot, falls from a great height, or is thrown from an explosion. So it's almost like a staple that sound technicians use as a nod to, hey, they build libraries of these sounds, but it's become one of those. And I think Star Wars was actually the one that brought it back into use again. When that stormtrooper falls from on high, they put it in, and now people use it all the time.
We put it in the variants.
Did you really?
Uh-huh, yeah.
It's just one of those that you put in there, and it's like a nod to, I understand this is like saying film history. Here it is.
Right.
So
It's the equivalent of, it's the wrong sound effect, but every time you see an eagle, you hear that.
Yeah.
That's not an eagle. I think that's a falcon screech.
Oh, really?
So, but it's the trope of, you see an eagle, you hear that screech.
But-
You see somebody fall off a cliff, you hear that Wilhelm screech.
Yeah.
and again, to have fun with it, everyone knows this scream, and it tells you he's dead. That tells me he did. When I heard that, I assumed he's dead. So great, that's another person we've cleared up from this. I don't understand. Let's go back to the leaping. So Ari jumps in, helps her kill a gorilla, then pulls her away,
And
Starts,
collapses.
grabs her hand and starts to run with her.
and she falls down.
and then she collapses.
She just falls down.
Is there anything in the script that says why she's down?
I mean, honestly, the script is just a jumble at this particular point. They're not really going into all this detail.
Okay, because it makes me think maybe they shot something where she got hurt,
Yeah,
and they
one
cut
thing
it
if
out.
you saw like a club flying through the air and hits her on the back of the head, or
Right.
even the back or something. But the way she falls down and her eyes closed and conveniently has her hand out, even though her hand is covered with a scarf, why is Estella Warren all of a sudden going, let me look at your hand?
And why does she see it? There's nothing that happens
indicates it, yeah.
So going back to that, that's one of the things that I was talking to somebody recently about filmmaking, and they were like, "Oh, so it's like a puzzle," because they never really thought about you just shoot. Like we were talking about the shot of the monkeys falling down and people throwing rocks. Yes, it's a fucking puzzle. They didn't complete this puzzle because she lays on the ground, and all someone had to say is, why is she on the ground? Why is she passed out? And just go to Sean's shot. Give me a shot of a bonk, and she gets hit and falls down. This is really stupid from the standpoint that she's laying on the ground, and to Sean's point, Estella there's no provocation of like,
It'd be
here
one
it
thing
is.
if, when they were running away after being stabbed, or when Estella stabbed that ape, if she grabbed her with the bad hand and went, and then grabbed her with the other hand instead. But
Well, all these moments between these characters actually do need some dialogue.
Agreed.
There needed to be something where, as Dana is on the ground, Ari says to her, "I'm not going to let this happen, or let you succumb, or let something." These characters need to begin having some of these moments. Burn and Limbo, even just a simple little exchange to let Limbo know that he's on his side, or let Limbo know that he's on their side. Just
Right.
not a ton of dialogue, but just a little more, because they're not saying anything other than wait, no. You know, there's nothing.
Jesus.
There's no real.
Right.
I don't need conversations, just something.
I agree. They need to either have a battle plan, they're screaming out what to do, or saying they need help, or anything. But to this moment, I've watched scrubbed it numerous times with her pulling the
sleeve down.
sleeve down.
Yeah.
Let's think back to Attack of the Clones, when for no reason other than that we want to show that Natalie Portman has a really cute tummy. We rip her shirt off so that we rip the back so it falls around on the front, and then we see her little midriff. Mm-hmm. Give me something like that.
A
Just
sword
rip.
could have cut her arm, and then so she's got to pull the bandage off.
There's a good idea. They're fighting, and she falls down, and that's why Estelle runs to her and sees it, and they look at each other. Maybe that's when it is. Jeopardy creates camaraderie.
And of
Does
course,
it not?
This little scene here, they have time to lay here and look at you. Nobody's attacking them. They can just have their moment here laying on the ground.
Well, and the other thing is, there's no reason for Ari to even be unconscious at this particular point.
No.
Like if
None.
Estella sees it, they can then have that conversation that I wanted, that dialogue, or that moment where I know, wouldn't hug, but you know what I'm saying? Something that just shows that they now have a connection. And Estella making the discovery with Ari not knowing the discovery is not going to benefit their relationship.
So we then cut to Attar as he pops the crap out of. Is that the little kid?
You can't tell, really.
It kind of looks like him.
I don't
But
think it is.
this one does not go flying. Now, what I do like is if you look on his hand, does he have some kind of like armor so that when he hits
Is
people,
it
it's
like on the back of
yeah,
his-
it looks like he has like a hitting fist, hitting glove like type thing that's intended for him to beat the shit out of people. I like the way that the action of this where he hits someone and the camera pushes to him. But again, this cuts then to Leo, and I feel like it should cut to Kroll because that's their
what the
story.
conflict's
Right.
gonna be.
It's a Thade Leo story. It's a Kroll Attar story.
I was exactly what I was thinking. There are two cross-cutting elements of the same idea between four characters, and the two that should be happening here are not Attar and Leo. It's
Right.
Attar and Kroll.
Correct.
And if you skip ahead, and we see the shot at 53 seconds when Attar runs, well, then we see this thing of Kroll at 56 seconds. If you simply cut these together, you would have that battle. The footage is here, and they're moving in the right directions. I don't understand the idea that he needs to attack Leo.
Well, again, we're not at the start of the next minute. We're kind of ending this minute. And Kroll is looking down, killing people. He's not even paying attention to what Attar's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're being reintroduced to Kroll at this particular moment with just the sense that he's just kind of on the path to get to
Right,
Leo.
right.
He's just over there. Like, again, we're touching our players without any sense of why we're reaching out and touching these players during this battle. You know, that Limbo, back to the previous minute, Limbo rolling down the thing, grabbing the sword, then running to the kid. There's a story there with Limbo that we're not exploring with him deciding to actually become a freedom fighter, if you will, a fighter for this, right? We're not,
Right.
we don't get that. We're getting the elements that should be there. We're getting the kid suddenly becoming a badass fighter, but we don't know why he's reacting the way that he's reacting, particularly after his friend Gunnar just died. Gunnar just died doing nothing but fighting.
Well, the kid may not know that because.
But I mean,
But that's the drama of it. He should know.
Yeah.
these characters should know what we're doing. We should be being told their story. Ari's just been skulking around this entire time, not doing anything, and that's kind of. I mean, we understand that she's somewhat of a pacifist.
Right.
To your point, that she should be saying no or something or stop or.
She doesn't like any of this. She should not be. She should be reluctant to run into the battles.
And if we had a little dialogue of her saying no, stop this. This is not where
instead of Jesus and oh God type
this
comments,
is not how we do this until
Right.
she sees Dana in peril, and then she has us change.
But that does not work because the two of them have had nothing. They've had the insertion of a forced love triangle where they don't care. Fine, have that, but they need again a moment of connection so that there's a reason.
Right.
There has to be something within her that happens. So to your point that we have all the pieces, again, going to that idea of a puzzle, we do have all the pieces to make this work. It's just assembled to a point where it doesn't.
Right.
Film does not have to have dialogue to tell you a story. Its visual images can cross-cut, juxtapose, and tell you something. They are not telling me anything that is cohesively coherent to what they've tried to create before.
I will glance back at the script before we pick it up next week, but it really didn't have anything fleshed out
Okay.
In terms of this, even much of the movement either. I think there was some dialogue between Attar and Thade, and I don't think anybody else really had any other dialogue.
Yeah. Well, there it is. It is completely, a jumbled mess. And if you go look at this again, and we would ask you, hey, go look for it. Go buy a copy. We don't make any money off saying this. I got my copy from Amazon. It's out there. Go watch this film. But when you get to this point, just watch from the standpoint of, do the cross-cutting elements tell you a story about characters confronting their ideas and things like that? No, it doesn't. It's a jumbled mess. It is what it is. That is Friday in the books. We will be back tomorrow with a in-between. I know that we've got a couple of subjects we want to touch on. So, everyone, thank you for your support. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Coming in